The desolate planet stretched out like a broken mirror, its surface a canvas of jagged rocks and endless gray dust. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the distant whistle of toxic winds and the occasional tumble of loose stones. Hyun Park stood at the edge of her scout ship's observation deck, her eyes scanning the vast wasteland below. Her fingers moved swiftly across the holographic display, tracking an anomalous signal that had been dancing at the edges of her sensors for hours. Something had crashed here, something alive. The scout ship's advanced scanning systems revealed a faint heat signature nestled between two massive rock formations. Most pilots would have dismissed it as a system glitch or environmental interference. But Hyun was different. Her years of deep space exploration had taught her that the universe rarely presented coincidences. She adjusted her environmental suit, checking the seals and oxygen levels. The planet's atmosphere was a toxic mix of chemicals that would kill an unprotected human within minutes. Her suit was her lifeline, a delicate barrier between survival and instant death. The descent was careful, calculated. Hyun maneuvered the scout ship with the precision of a surgeon, using micro-thrusters to navigate through treacherous rock spires and unstable terrain. Every movement was deliberate, every calculation precise. As she approached the crash site, the true extent of the destruction became clear. Debris was scattered in a wide arc, metallic fragments glinting dully in the weak planetary light. The wreckage suggested a violent impact, the kind that typically left nothing but dust and memories. But the heat signature persisted. Hyun's first steps on the planet's surface crunched against loose gravel. Her suit's external sensors immediately began analyzing the environment. Radiation levels, chemical composition, potential biological threats. Everything screamed danger. Then she saw her. The alien was barely recognizable as a living creature. Broken limbs twisted at impossible angles, an exoskeleton fractured like shattered glass. Her skin, if it could be called skin, shifted between muted colors, a biological camouflage system struggling to maintain function. Most would have assumed she was dead. But the faint pulse on Hyun's medical scanner told a different story. "Hang on," Hyun whispered, her voice a mixture of professional detachment and genuine concern. She knelt beside the alien, her gloved hands moving with practiced efficiency. The creature's respiratory system was complex, nothing like human anatomy. Multiple breathing chambers, redundant biological systems, a design born of evolution in the harshest possible environments. The alien's eyes flickered. Not human eyes, but something more. Multiple lens structures that seemed to look through Hyun rather than at her. Pain, confusion, and a fierce survival instinct radiated from those extraordinary eyes. Hyun knew she had limited time. The planet's environment was deteriorating rapidly, radiation levels spiking with each passing minute. Whatever rescue attempt she was going to make had to happen now. Her communication systems crackled to life. "Base, this is Park. I've found a survivor. Preparing emergency extraction protocol." The response was immediate. "Negative, Park. Biological contamination risk is too high. Abort and return to base." Hyun's hand hovered over the emergency beacon. Protocol was clear. Unknown alien species. Potential biological threat. Standard procedure demanded immediate containment and isolation. But something in the alien's gaze stopped her. Not fear, not submission, but a raw, unbreakable spirit of survival. In that moment, Hyun made a decision that would change everything. "Preparing emergency medical extraction," she responded, her voice steady. "Initiating xenobiological containment protocols." The alien's multiple breathing chambers expanded slightly. Was it a response? A sign of understanding? Or simply the last gasp of a dying creature? Hyun didn't know, but she was going to find out. As she began the careful process of stabilizing the alien, the planet's winds continued to howl. Somewhere in the vast, indifferent universe, a story of unexpected survival was about to unfold. The medical bay of the research vessel hummed with quiet tension. Specialized containment fields flickered around the alien's body, a complex web of energy and medical technology designed to keep both the patient and the medical team safe. Jay Kim studied the readouts, his fingers moving across holographic displays. Nothing about the alien's biology made sense. Her cellular structure seemed to shift and adapt even as he watched, fighting against the extensive damage from the crash. "This isn't possible," he muttered, adjusting a series of microfilters that pumped carefully calibrated treatments into the containment field. Hyun watched from the observation deck, her face a mask of professional calm, but underneath her mind raced. They had defied every standard protocol by bringing the alien aboard. If their research director discovered the truth, they would be grounded permanently. The alien's body told a story of survival. Multiple redundant organ systems. Cellular structures that could repair themselves at impossible speeds. Each scan revealed another layer of biological complexity that challenged everything humans understood about life. Jay's hand trembled slightly as he adjusted. Another treatment sequence. He had spent years studying xenobiology, but this was different. This was something entirely new. A sudden movement caught his attention. The alien's multiple eye structures flickered open, not all at once, but in a cascading sequence that suggested a completely different way of perceiving the world. Their eyes met. For a moment, everything stopped. The alien didn't react with fear or aggression. Instead, there was a sense of profound curiosity, something intelligent, something aware. "She's conscious," Jay called out, his voice a mixture of excitement and professional caution. Hyun entered the medical bay, her movements careful and controlled. The containment protocols were strict. One wrong move could compromise everything. The alien's body language was complex. Subtle shifts in skin color, minute movements that suggested a communication system far beyond human understanding. But there was something else. A sense of pain. Of loss. "Can you understand me?" Jay asked, activating the universal translation matrix. The response came not in words, but in a series of color shifts and subtle body movements. The translation system struggled, then slowly began to piece together meaning, survival, loss, pursuit. Fragments of a story began to emerge. A civilization under threat, a species fighting for its very existence. The alien, who the translation matrix eventually identified as Rhea, had been part of something larger, something desperate. Hyun noticed something else. Despite the extensive injuries, despite being in a completely alien environment, Rhea showed no signs of giving up. Her biological systems continued to fight, to adapt, to survive. "She's remarkable," Jay whispered. The medical bay's systems continued, their careful dance. Specialized nano-treatments worked to repair cellular damage. Advanced scanning equipment continued to map the alien's extraordinary biology. Hours passed. The initial crisis began to stabilize. Rhea's body slowly began to heal. Not just survive, but actively reconstruct itself. Each passing moment revealed another layer of biological complexity that challenged everything humans understood about life and survival. Jay looked up at Hyun, his eyes wide with a mixture of scientific excitement and something else. Wonder, perhaps, or the first glimpses of understanding. "We're dealing with something entirely new," he said quietly. Outside the medical bay, the research vessel continued its journey through the vast emptiness of space. Inside, two species, one fighting to save, the other fighting to survive, began a journey of unexpected connection. Rhea's multiple eye structures focused on Hyun and Jay, not with fear, not with aggression, but with a look that suggested something profound was about to begin. The universe, it seemed, had other plans. 3. Weeks had passed since Rhea's rescue. The research vessel's medical bay had become something more than a containment zone. It was now a place of careful communication and growing understanding. Jay watched as Rhea moved her partially healed limbs. Her body was a marvel of biological engineering. Where human bodies would have taken months to recover, she was already showing signs of near-complete healing. The translation matrix had become their primary bridge. At first it captured only fragments, broken pieces of a complex language that seemed to shift between sound, color, and subtle body movements. But slowly, a story emerged. Ria's people were survivors, not just a civilization, but a species defined by continuous struggle. They had been hunted across multiple star systems, pushed to the brink of extinction by a predatory race that saw them as nothing more than resources to be consumed. Her memories came in waves, fragmented images of burning planets, massive ships breaking apart in space, the constant, desperate movement of a species always one step ahead of total destruction. Hyun listened carefully. Her scientific training kept her objective, but something deeper was awakening: compassion, understanding. "Tell me about your home," she would ask, and Ria would respond, not with words but with a complex dance of color and movement that the translation matrix slowly decoded. Her home world had been beautiful once, vast oceans of liquid that was neither water nor any known chemical. Floating cities that moved with the planet's complex atmospheric currents, a civilization that had once been advanced, peaceful, innovative. Until the hunting began. Jay noticed something interesting about Ria's communication. She didn't just describe events, she experienced them. Each memory was a living thing, colors, shifting, body movements telling a story more complex than words could capture. The research vessel became a world of its own. Specialized labs were converted to help Ria. Advanced scanning equipment mapped her biological systems. Each discovery challenged everything humans knew about life, adaptation, survival. Ria began to learn about her rescuers too. Human language, human culture, the complex, often contradictory nature of human existence. She showed particular fascination with human art and music, systems of expression that seemed to defy pure logic. "Humans are strange," she communicated one day, her body colors shifting in what the translation matrix interpreted as amusement. "You create beauty in the middle of chaos." Jay laughed. It was the first genuine laugh since they had found her. The ship's crew watched carefully. Some were afraid, some were curious. Most were simply trying to understand this extraordinary being that had suddenly become part of their world. Ria's healing continued, but it was more than physical. Something was happening between her and the humans, a connection that went beyond language, beyond species. Hyun noticed how Ria's body language changed when she spoke about her people's struggles. The colors would dim. Her movements would become slower, more painful. A universal language of loss that needed no translation. "We will help you," Hyun would say. And for the first time, Ria's response was not just about survival, it was about hope. The research vessel continued its journey through the vast emptiness of space. But something had changed. What had begun as a rescue mission was becoming something else. A connection. An understanding. The first tentative steps between two species that had more in common than they ever could have imagined. Ria looked out at the stars. Her multiple eye structures caught the distant light, transforming it into a complex pattern of color and movement. Something was coming. Something important. The universe was listening. The research vessel's strategy room buzzed with an unusual energy. Star charts covered every available surface, holographic displays showing complex attack patterns and defensive systems. Ria's body moved across the main display, her color-shifting skin revealing complex tactical information. Her hunters weren't just an enemy. They were a systematic threat that consumed entire civilizations. "They hunt in patterns," she communicated, her body creating intricate movement maps. "Not for resources, for complete elimination." Jay studied the information carefully. The enemy, a machine-like species called the Convergence, moved with mathematical precision. They didn't just attack, they calculated total extinction. Hyun's fingers moved across the tactical display. Her military training, combined with Ria's insider knowledge, was creating something unprecedented, a resistance strategy that defied conventional warfare. "We can't fight them directly," she explained, "but we can disrupt their systems." The vessel's standard exploration equipment began transforming. Communication arrays were redesigned. Sensor systems were modified. What was once a research ship was becoming a weapon of strategic disruption. Rhea showed them vulnerable points in the Convergence's technological network. Weak communication channels, potential system interruptions, places where a small intervention could cause massive systemic failures. The human crew worked with a new purpose. Engineers who had once studied distant planetary systems now prepared specialized electromagnetic disruption packages. Communication specialists designed intricate signal traps. "This isn't just about saving your people," Jay said to Rhea. "This is about protecting everyone." Her response was a complex color sequence that the translation matrix interpreted as agreement, but there was something more, a deep, profound hope that went beyond simple survival. Days turned into weeks of preparation. The research vessel became a hub of quiet, determined resistance. Every system was recalibrated. Every piece of equipment was transformed into a potential weapon. Rhea's knowledge was crucial. She understood the Convergence's thought processes, if they could be called thoughts, mathematical, predictable, always seeking the most efficient path of destruction. "They see life as a problem to be solved," she communicated. "Humans see life as a mystery to be understood." That fundamental difference became their greatest weapon. The first test came unexpectedly. A Convergence scout ship appeared on their long-range scanners. Most crews would have hidden, would have run. Hyun's team did something different. They prepared to fight. Specialized signal disruptors activated. Carefully designed communication traps were set. The research vessel, now something far more than its original purpose, waited. The Convergence ship approached. Its geometric design suggested pure functionality. No beauty, no complexity, just pure, calculated efficiency. Then everything changed. Their communication systems collapsed. Navigation became impossible. For the first time, the Convergence faced an enemy that didn't follow their expected patterns. "Now," Hyun commanded. A series of precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses transformed the enemy ship into nothing more than floating debris. Rhea's body shifted through multiple colors, a complex emotional response that suggested something between excitement, hope, and profound relief. They had done more than survive. They had struck back. The research vessel's crew looked at each other. Something fundamental had changed. They were no longer just researchers. They were resistance. Outside, the vast emptiness of space continued its silent watch. Somewhere in the darkness, more battles would come, more challenges awaited, but for now they had won something important. A moment of hope, a chance to fight back. The universe held its breath. The stars seemed different now, brighter, more alive. 2 months had passed since their first successful resistance mission. The research vessel, once a quiet exploration ship, had become something legendary among the scattered survivors of multiple civilizations. Rhea stood at the main viewing port, her body shifting through complex color patterns that suggested deep emotion. Around her, human crew members moved with a new sense of purpose. They had rescued 17 different alien groups, 17 civilizations that would have been completely destroyed by the Convergence. Each rescue was more complex than the last. Each mission pushed the boundaries of what seemed possible. Jay approached Rhea, his movements careful. Their relationship had transformed from scientific curiosity to something deeper, a partnership, an understanding that went beyond species. "We're receiving another distress signal," he said quietly. Hyun entered the room, her face a mixture of determination and strategic calculation. The ship's systems were no longer just research equipment. They were weapons, tools of survival, instruments of hope. The new rescue mission would be their most dangerous yet. A massive Convergence fleet blocked the path to a small planetary system. Conventional wisdom said retreat. Mathematical probability suggested total failure. But they weren't interested in conventional wisdom. Rhea's body began to communicate. Complex tactical information flowed through her color shifts and subtle movements. Weak points in the Convergence fleet, communication channel vulnerabilities, potential disruption strategies. The human crew worked with a precision that would have been impossible months ago. Engineers modified shield systems. Communication specialists prepared intricate signal traps. Every system was pushed beyond its original design. "We're not just saving them," Hyun said, looking at the star map. "We're changing everything." Their approach was careful, calculated. The research vessel moved like a ghost through the massive convergence fleet. Specialized signal disruptors created confusion. Electromagnetic pulses destroyed communication networks. For the first time, the convergence looked vulnerable. The rescue began. Small transport ships carrying survivors moved quickly through the chaos. Each successful extraction was a victory. Each saved life a statement against total destruction. Rhea watched the rescue unfold. Her multiple eye structures caught every detail. Survival was no longer just about her people. It was about something larger, a resistance against total elimination. Hours passed. The battle became legend. When it was over, they had saved over 3,000 survivors from multiple civilizations. The convergence fleet was left disabled, confused, unable to pursue. The research vessel's crew celebrated quietly. No loud cheers, just a deep, profound sense of accomplishment. Jay looked at Rhea. "We did it," he said simply. Her response was a color shift that suggested something between joy, relief, and hope. The translation matrix struggled to capture the complexity of her emotion. They had done more than survive. They had fought back. As the ship moved away from the battle zone, survivors from different species began to interact. Language barriers fell. Cultural differences became less important. They were united by something deeper: the will to survive, the hope for something better. Hyun watched the new community forming. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become something else: a movement, a resistance. The universe seemed to pause, to watch. Something important was happening. Rhea's body shifted through multiple colors, a complex language of emotion that needed no translation. Hope, survival, resistance. The story was just beginning, and somewhere in the vast darkness of space something was listening, waiting, watching.